Stop. Before you announce your next great plan, before you post your new goal, before you share your grand vision with friends, colleagues, or social media, stop and listen to a hard truth. You have been conditioned to believe that public accountability is the key to success. You have been told to shout your goals from the rooftops to ensure you follow through. This is a dangerous myth. It is a psychological trap that has derailed more potential than any lack of skill or talent. Public goals lead to public pressure and eventual failure. The moment you announce your ambition, you are giving away the energy, the focus, and the internal tension required to do the difficult work. You are trading future accomplishments for immediate, cheap validation. The truly elite, the people who build enduring legacies, do not advertise their construction. They master the art of working in the dark until their results appear fully formed and undeniable in the light. This is the power of the quiet pursuit. It is a strategic retreat from noise and distraction, designed to maximize internal drive and minimize external interference. You are listening to a special presentation from the Zenith Voice. Today, we unveiled the 7 core principles that transform ambition from a fragile public statement into an unbreakable private mission. The first and most critical reason to keep your goals secret is rooted in a psychological phenomenon known as social reality. When you publicly announce an intention, "I'm going to start this business," or "I'm going to lose 50 pounds," your mind experiences a cognitive illusion. The public acknowledgement of the goal is mistaken by your brain for the actual accomplishment of the goal. The hard truth: the instant gratification of praise satisfies the reward center of your brain, robbing you of the energy required to do the difficult work. When you tell people you are going to write a book, you instantly receive congratulations, encouragement, and the satisfying feeling of being a writer. Your mind checks the box. It has achieved the social reality of being a motivated, goal-oriented person, even though the challenging work of writing has not yet begun. This principle is about conserving psychological tension. The tension between your current self, the non-achiever, and your desired future self, the successful person, is the fuel for discipline. Announcing the goal instantly releases that tension. The quiet pursuit demands that you keep the tension high. You must feel the persistent, uncomfortable gap between who you are and who you want to be. That discomfort is what forces you into action. By working in silence, you ensure that the only way to satisfy the brain's need for reward is through tangible, measurable progress. The only applause you seek is the quiet, internal satisfaction of moving the needle. The pursuit must be its own reward, and silence ensures it remains that way. When you announce your goal, you are, by extension, giving the world veto power over your mission. The second core principle is the necessary defense of your vision against external opinions and interference. If people know your plan, they feel entitled to comment on it. They will offer unsolicited advice, question your methods, warn you of the risks, and often project their own fear and lack of courage on your ambition. The hard truth: unsolicited advice is often thinly veiled criticism, and criticism is the fastest way to derail an unformed plan. The moment you face doubt, your fragile new commitment must defend itself against external attack. You waste precious energy arguing, explaining, or justifying your methods. Every conversation is a potential breach of your focus. The quiet pursuit eliminates this danger. By working in silence, you keep your plan uncontaminable. Your vision remains pure, accountable only to your own standards and your own deep conviction. Furthermore, if you hit a necessary pivot, a change in strategy, a switch in direction, the public circle will judge it as a failure, forcing you to defend the change. If you work in the dark, you can pivot, fail, adapt, and refine in private. Your journey is fluid, agile, and protected from the judgment of those who don't understand the necessary messiness of creation. Your goals are yours alone. The less influence the public has on the process, the more absolute the ownership you retain over the outcome. Guard your vision fiercely. In every competitive field, business, art, health, or career, the element of surprise is a powerful strategic asset. The third core principle is the understanding that silence maximizes strategic leverage. When your competitors or peers know exactly what you are building, they can plan their defense, steal your ideas, or attempt to disrupt your progress. Transparency in the pursuit of high-stakes goals is often a strategic weakness. The hard truth: the public is more impressed by a sudden, undeniable success than they are by a tedious, public construction process. The quiet pursuit flips the script. You gather information, you test, you learn, you refine, and when you finally emerge from the silence, your results are massive, complete, and too late to stop. This strategy also leverages human psychology. When you announce a goal and fail, the public is cynical. When you say nothing, execute relentlessly, and then reveal an undeniable victory, the public response is awe. That awe is far more valuable than the fleeting encouragement you would have received 6 months earlier. This habit requires immense patience and discipline. You must resist the urge to show work in progress. You must tolerate the quiet, uncelebrated grind. But the strategic payoff, the sudden, undeniable impact of your finished product, is worth the temporary self-denial. Build the fortress first, then open the gates. If your goals are public, you will eventually face moments where the only reason you continue is the fear of public embarrassment. This is a false and corrosive form of motivation. The fourth core principle is using silence as the ultimate test of internal drive and conviction. If you are working in complete privacy, the only thing forcing you into action is the depth of your own desire. If you quit, no one will know, except you. If you continue, your strength is pure, unadulterated willpower. The hard truth: if your primary motivator is public shame avoidance, your commitment is conditional. It will break the moment the pressure is removed. The quiet pursuit forces you to confront the real reason you're pursuing your goal. It separates genuine passion from performance. Ask yourself, if I were guaranteed that no human being would ever see the finished result, would I still do this work?
If the answer is yes, your goal is anchored in deep internal meaning. You are working for mastery, for self-improvement, for the satisfaction of personal execution. This is an unbreakable form of motivation. If the answer is no, you're merely performing for an audience. That pursuit is fragile and will collapse the moment external priorities shift. This principle makes you self-accountable. You are your own strictest supervisor, and your discipline is entirely self-fueled. This quiet, private process forges a level of mental toughness that external validation can never replicate. The work is sacred because it is private. The most difficult work of building a life of quiet pursuit is not adding new routines, but subtracting the noise that requires public goals in the first place. The fifth core principle is the necessity of strategic subtraction from a noisy, distracting life. People who constantly announce their plans often do so because their lives lack the substance and quiet fulfillment of actual work. They substitute the narrative of achievement for achievement itself. The hard truth: if your life is too full of noise, you will lack the mental resources for deep, quiet work. The quiet pursuit requires subtracting the activities that draw you into public performance. Subtract public forums. Reduce time spent on platforms dedicated to shallow self-promotion or competitive posturing. Subtract excess socializing. Reduce engagements that tempt you to discuss your process, thereby releasing psychological tension. Subtract vague goals. only define the actions you will take, not the outcome you wish to announce. This principle is about creating a mental environment conducive to deep concentration. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of focus. By removing the external pressure to perform, you free up massive cognitive bandwidth to solve the actual problems of your mission. Simplify your life, reduce your audience, and watch your capacity for high-leverage work multiply. The most powerful work always occurs at the periphery of the public eye. The final test of the quiet pursuit is the standard you hold yourself to during the long period of silence. The sixth core principle is the commitment to a standard of undeniable excellence, a level of quality that makes the eventual result immune to criticism. When you work in private, there is no one checking your progress. There is no deadline but the one you set. This is where the undisciplined mind slackens. The person committed to the quiet pursuit, however, uses privacy to aim for perfection. The hard truth: work in silence until your output forces the public to recognize your skill. This is the principle of the unveiling. The goal is not to present a half-finished product that requires excuses or explanation. The goal is to present a masterpiece that speaks for itself. You do the extra revision. You perform the extra test. You spend the extra month refining the details. This uncompromising commitment to quality ensures that when the result finally appears, the public response is not criticism, but overwhelming acceptance. The silence you maintained becomes a psychological amplifier for the impact of your achievement. The goal is to move beyond mere success and achieve significance. Significance is built quietly, intentionally, and without the constant distraction of public scrutiny. Let your work shout, and your mouth remain silent. You now hold the keys to a higher form of discipline. The quiet pursuit is not a habit, it is a strategy for sovereignty. It is the choice to trade the fleeting pleasure of validation for the enduring power of silent, relentless execution. Stop wasting your energy on explanation and justification. Stop ceding control of your vision to the opinions of others. You are not meant to be a performer. You are meant to be a creator. And creation requires protected, focused silence. Your immediate action step is this: identify your single most important goal for the next 90 days. Then, without telling anyone, write down 5 core, non-negotiable actions you will take in the next 7 days to move toward it. Commit to executing those actions in absolute silence. Let your effort be your private ritual. If this message from the Zenith Voice has provided the strategy you need to focus and dominate your mission, do not break this concentration. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel to join a community dedicated to silent mastery, and share this audio with one person whose potential you know is being sabotaged by noise. Your great work demands your focus. Explore the next lesson in our library and continue your journey into the transformative power of silence.